Donors are pitching in to help find a missing Lumberton woman.
And opponents of a natural gas pipeline say they're not giving up.
I'm Alexis Clinton.
And I'm Bryant Reed.
You're watching Carolina News Today.
The $5,000 reward for information about a missing Lumberton woman has been doubled. Chicken processor Mount Air Farms added an additional $5,000 to bring the total to $10,000. Abby Patterson has been missing since September 5th. She is described as 5 feet 7 inches tall and weighing 140 pounds with brown hair and eyes. She has light skin with a birthmark on the back of her left thigh and a bird tattoo on her shoulder. If you have any information on the Patterson and the acquaintance she was last seen with, contacted local law enforcement.
The Robeson County School Board is holding a construction committee meeting this week to consider a new building, the purchase of land, and the lease on their current office space. The central office on Route 72 was permanently displaced by Hurricane Matthew. They've been leasing space at a multi-purpose building owned by Native Angels, a healthcare provider. The building is in the Comtech Business Park next to acreage already owned by the public schools of Robeson County. It's currently occupied by a mixture of business tenants. The owner told county commissioners this week that she'd sell the property for about $6 million, saving the school system millions of dollars.
It's been appraised from 8. There's a liquidation appraisal for around 5, but what we're asking for is 6. That would include the land and the contents of the building. There are 29 acres that go with the building, and contiguous to our property, directly beside our property, the county purchased land for the public schools of Robeson County to construct a high school back in 2006, around that time, and so they already have land, 35 acres beside the property, so we thought it would be a win-win situation for us and for the county.
Opponents of the Atlantic Coast Pipeline are disappointed that federal regulators granted the project a permit Friday, but they fully expected it. The 600-mile natural gas pipeline would start in West Virginia and end in Pembroke. Property owners who don't want to sell would lose land in eminent domain seizures. Environmentalists point out the danger of transporting this fuel. Local activists say they're not giving up.
There are lots of ways in order to try and help support our own regulators in understanding why it doesn't need to be approved. Right now, I think one of the biggest things is working at the state level Department of Environmental Quality. So they're handling the 401 water permit for the proposed pipeline. So how will this impact waterways? How will this impact cultural resources, the Native Americans? So I think that's the biggest battleground right now.
It takes a lot of work to win a pageant, but recently one UNCP student shined brighter than her competitors despite a family tragedy. I met the new Miss Kappa Alpha Psi right after she was crowned. Kappa Alpha Psi Incorporated held their annual Miss Kappa Alpha Psi pageant in the Given Performing Arts Center this Monday. 7 ladies competed for one of 3 titles to represent the fraternity on campus.
Women of color are not given enough opportunities to show how positive they can be. They're not given the chance for the rest of the student body at UNCP to show this is what I'm about, this is what I like to do, and we just do everything we can to, give them that avenue to represent themselves positively.
Although the audience only came to see one woman get crowned, one man had another thing up his sleeve. During intermission, the audience was entertained with several performances by Assad Nawah and the hip-hop dance team. But one fraternity member's wedding proposal added a little more entertainment to that list. Asia Wallace, a senior from High Point, North Carolina, took home the crown. She will be receiving a $500 scholarship and will hold her title until next fall.
The impact that I would want to have on campus is just to show women or anybody that they need to be confident in themselves. Don't worry about what others have to say about them. Just go out there and do it, stay focused, and be determined.
Wallace's aunt just recently passed before the show, but she decided to dedicate a dance to her for her talent.
I wasn't feeling like myself, so bringing out the strength in me helped me.
Wallace plans to become a positive role model for other women on campus and increase school spirit with her new title. Organizers for the pageant hope the experience strengthens women's self-confidence, poise, and elegance.
Female students were also encouraged to recently take advantage of the mentors. The Office of Student Involvement and Leadership sponsored an event not unlike speed dating, but where students could gain quick insights from female professionals on campus. These Minute Mentors can be resources for students' career exploration.
Minute Mentoring really is an opportunity sprung out of necessity to connect women in resources so they can build and foster those mentoring and those sponsorship relationships when they're looking for employment. So, you know, what is the advice that you need to have to get a job? How do you network? How do you, how do you write the right resume, and how do you get things drafted appropriately? Things like that. And so this program is really, really important because it puts people together who are experts in their field with students who are looking to eventually become experts in those fields. So it's an opportunity for those faculty and staff to really connect with their students, share some advice on skills and stuff that they've learned, and then hopefully broaden the sort of the networking connections opportunities that our students can have. So really ultimately what I'm trying to do is put our phenomenal faculty in connecting with students in an environment that they don't normally get to have that environment, and then just sort of see what happens after that.
Students, faculty, and staff came together to celebrate a mix of cultures at the annual Hispanic Fall Festival. The Spanish Department recently threw their 4th annual Spanish Festival during Hispanic Heritage Month, put on by OLE, a Spanish student organization. A display of all Hispanic and Latin countries were in full effect while they showcased their culture to Pembroke students. They kicked it off with a walk around the campus, waving their flags to let it be known that this was a time to dive into more than 20 Hispanic and Latin countries. They showcased much of their heritage, such as paintings, dances, and crafts, and wanted to send a message that just like Pembroke, the Hispanic and Latin culture is unified, diverse, and each country has its own personality.
Because, you know, the fact that we are here, not only in UNCP, okay, we have so many different cultures represent all over the United States. So that for one day, not only the Hispanic come together and enjoy our traditions, the music, the food, the games, and all that. Okay, it is important to know. Okay, it's not just one culture, but all of those together.
And speaking of culture, it's hard not to talk about Spanish culture without including food. Everybody lined up to get a little taste of the big selection of food from just about every country, enjoying it so much that it was worth dancing over. Students also got the chance to learn how to dance salsa and finish the event with Spanish Jeopardy. Overall, Olay was happy.
It's excellent. Estamos felices. We're happy and excited that a lot of students came out today to support our activity.
UNCP students traveled all the way to Charlotte to participate in an open mic night founded by 2 alumni. They're hoping their speakeasy becomes a regular thing.
It was an electric Thursday night football atmosphere in the streets of Charlotte, North Carolina, as the Apostrophe Lounge hosted their first Speakeasy Thursday on October the 12th.
Let's go Panthers!
This event was created by UNCP alumni Mike Zimmerman and Shymel Jackson, who both stayed active during their time on campus. They came together to create an arena for aspiring artists to practice their craft. For their first show, they gathered the talent of some current UNCP students alongside a couple of local artists. Among those students was singer and poet Ariel.
I was invited here tonight by UNCP alumni DJ Mike, who's out here doing big things. I'm very grateful for the opportunity. There's going to be great talents tonight, and I am very excited to hear everyone perform as well as do my own performance.
Much like the speakeasy movements of the 1920s, Shymel Jackson said that his hopes for this new event is to refurbish a similar and refreshing culture to this generation. This speakeasy will take place every second Thursday of each month. This gives a platform to those who desire to express their artistic talents in a relaxed environment. With CNT News, I'm Jamal Jones McAllister.
The North Carolina Arts Council celebrates 50 years this month, and arts organizations in all 100 counties are finding ways to observe the anniversary. On campus, the Givens Performing Arts Center will dedicate their Chinese martial arts and acrobats show to the celebration this week. The director of GPAC says the arts organizations have great impact on communities.
People tend to think of the arts as something frivolous, but the arts mean business. When someone buys a ticket to a show, not only are they having a great evening or a good time with friends and family, they're contributing to the economy, they're spending money. They're also enriching their culture, they're learning things, and they're becoming richer people for having taken advantage of that experience. A lot of people just don't realize the benefit that the arts have in the county, and they don't see it as something that's worthwhile. It's time to recognize that and recognize the benefit that it does bring and contribute to it and help support it.
In Scotland County, the annual Storytelling Festival will put in its own plug for the North Carolina Arts Council, which supports the concept of arts for all citizens. You can visit the Arts Council's 50th anniversary website at ncarts50.org for more dates and locations of happenings around the state.
The North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality has now directed the chemical company Chemours to provide bottles of water to 35 homeowners near the Fayetteville Works facility. The unregulated chemical Gen X has been detected in well water samples above the state health goal of 140 parts per trillion. The agency is working with counties and the company to find long-term solutions, such as home filtration or hookups to public water supplies. Last month, they discovered the chemical compound in non-drinking wells on company property.
I came to the University of North Carolina and looked for big school opportunities at a place that feels like home.
I came to UNCP for championship athletics.
I love our rich diversity and strong traditions.
And because UNCP is an NC Promise school, I'll graduate with a world-class education without a mountain of debt.
My professors know that I have big plans for my future, and they believe that I can get there from here.
The volleyball team rallies hard on the road.
And the UNCP women's soccer team continues their winning streak.
Sports are up next with Dolph Pearce III.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
Listen, I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you judge me for having a problem. No one is going to know that I need help. I need help. I know that no one is going to judge me for having a problem. I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you listen.
Every year, 40% of all food in the U.S. never gets eaten.
40%. That's almost half the food we produce.
Food waste is a serious problem. It impacts all of us.
And it's expensive. Your family is throwing $1,500 a year in the trash.
We're working hard to put food waste on the chopping block.
And you can do the same at home.
Learn how to cook it, store it, and share it.
Just don't waste it.
Go to savethefood.com.
We had an old-fashioned backyard brawl in Longburg this past Friday. The Fighting Scots of Scotland County took on the 71st Falcons. Both teams suffered early non-conference losses at the beginning of the season. However, the Scots and Falcons came to the game at 6-1 and perfect in conference play. Here we go. This week's Spotlight player is none other than the Scotland County running back Zamir White. Quarterback Warren Bell made his presence felt early with a 61-yard touchdown to give the Scots an early 14-7 lead at the beginning of the second quarter. 71st would answer right back, though, with a 51-yard halfback counter by Fabian Jones. Jones would take the ball 51 yards for an easy touchdown. However, the Falcons would not convert the 2-point attempt by Kyler Davis, as he would be swallowed up by Scots linebacker Marquise Wilson. How would the White and Bell duo react to the Falcons? With a touchdown, of course. Warren Bell finished the contest with an astonishing 274 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns. The Falcons weren't done yet, though. Falcons quarterback Kyler Davis finds standout wide receiver Reggie Bryant on a 13-yard screenplay to get into Scots territory.
Bryant is currently second in the state in receiving yards with 979. As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, this kid is a dog. 4th and goal on the Scots 4. Davis finds wide receiver Kyle House, who had a message for Scots fans. Big mistake, Mr. House. Zamir White punished the Falcons defense with 310 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns as the Fighting Scots went on to defeat the Falcons 56-35. We traveled down to 95 South to catch the second half between the Purnell Sweat and the Buccaneers of Jack Britt. Big Mo Stadium was loud and fans were ready to see their Rams. Buccaneers wide receiver C.J. Davis gets a jet sweep and takes it 31 yards into the Rams' red zone. Davis is a do-it-all player for the Bucs with 894 all-purpose yards on the year. Next play, wide receiver Deshaun Curtis takes the handoff and finds the end zone for another Jack Britt touchdown. Currently in the third quarter, Jack Britt leads 25-0. Purnell Sweat senior quarterback Luke Oxendine is a poised player, though. He begins the drive with a 5-yard completion to wide receiver junior Chandler Brayboy. Senior running back DeAndre Pankey started off the fourth quarter with a bruising 13-yard run. And just like that, the Rams are gaining momentum. Next play, Chandler Brayboy tries to find some running room on a quick pitch, only to dive to the ground in agony. Brayboy suffered a hamstring injury that would keep him on the sideline for the rest of the drive. Luke Oxendine isn't worried, though. He finds senior wide receiver Nate Brooks on a 33-yard touchdown pass. And just like that, Sweat trims the Buccaneers' lead to 25-6 with 9 minutes left in the game. Tensions were high, however, all game. On the first play of this Buccaneer drive, a fight breaks out between a Purnell Sweat defender and a Jack Britt O-lineman. This game is meant to be played in between the hashes. You play aggressively, yet you play smart. There's no place for that in the sport. Next play, Christian Tatum tries to find some running room on the outside, but he is met by a host of Sweat defenders for a 0-yard gain. And yet another penalty flag. 2 unsportsmanlike calls on Purnell Sweat. And again, the Bucs continue to gain free yardage. Very next play, Tatum gets the handoff and is intentionally brought down by his face mask by a Purnell Sweat defender, inducing another penalty flag for unsportsmanlike conduct. That is now 3 unsportsmanlike penalties on Purnell Sweat. Running back Chancellor Johnson gets stuffed at the line on the next play. Then a Sweat defender comes in late and twists Johnson's right leg. Yes, resulting in another penalty for the Rams. Jack Britt will walk into the end zone to defeat the Purnell Sweat Rams 32-6. The UNCP women's soccer team is unbeaten in their last 8 games. 5 out of the 8 games have been Peach Belt Conference foes. The other 3 have been impressive regional wins for the Braves. In the game against Leeds McRae, the Braves sent the crowd home with a smile. Senior Kate Wisner scored the game-winning goal with just 98 seconds left in double overtime. That would be her second game-winning goal of the season. Goalkeeper Gina Ryan had her 6th shutout of the season, which is tied for the most in PBC history. She also was named PBC Goalkeeper of the Week for the 2nd week in a row. This team will play Conference Four Lander in their next home game. The Leeds McRae game wasn't the only special thing about the Braves getting their 8th straight win. It was also a night that they dedicated the grand opening of the Lumbee EMC Stadium. This was made possible by a $500,000 donation from the Lumbee River Electric Membership Company. The stadium's grand opening had the best crowd appearance for the Braves. The volleyball team was on the road this past week at St. Andrews. Junior Akia Jones had a career high with 15 kills and 35 attacks. The Braves won the first set 25-17, but the Knights rallied back to win the next 3 sets. Madeline Ashwell was just 1 dig and 1 kill away from her 3rd double-double of the season. The team returns home for the first time in 15 days Friday against Augusta State to continue Peach Belt Conference play. The golf team struggled this past week at the Leanne Noble Memorial Tournament. On the first day of the tournament, the Braves shot .326, coming in 2nd to last. However, on the 2nd day, the team jumped 4 spots, and 4 out of our 5 players improved their score on the day. Alexandria Bear led the way for the Braves once again, coming in 16th place individually. The Braves have their final fall tournament next week at Flagler Fall Slam in Florida. I'm Dolph Pearce III, and that's sports.
Thanks, Dolphus. We're out of time.
That's a wrap on another episode of Carolina News Today.